Hey everyone, I haven't posted a build video in a little bit now, so I was like, you know what? Why don't I just get back on that? This is what I've been running lately, and I really like it. It's kind of an old school build. I know that this was kind of something that was on the more meta side in a while, but this is a pure stamsorc build. So for those of you guys that don't know, I am an orc stamsorc. Doesn't really matter what race you are at the end of the day. I think orc is great, but also Khajiit is solid. If you want to go imperial for the extra sustain, that's good too. Dark elf, there are a lot of good races right now. It really just comes down to what you prefer. So honestly, I just like orc personally. I'm also using 0 points into magic, 33 points into health, and then 31 points into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 15.8k, a max health pool of 33.4k, and a max stam pool of 21.8k. We're also using Jewels of Mizrael as our food to increase our overall max health and stam and magic recovery. And then also we're Vampire Stage 1, and we're using Serpent as our Munda Stone. So for our monster set, it's going to be Marsalok. Marsalok is going to be a lot of nice dot pressure that you're going to give. We're going to be using a heavy impen helmet and a medium impen shoulder. For those of you guys that don't know, it gives us a line of max stamina. Then also when you deal damage using a melee heavy attack, you spew a cone of corruption, dealing 7,100 disease damage to enemies over 4 seconds. We're not even buffed, so that damage gets increased significantly, so it's nice. Also, that damage is increased by 10% for each negative effect that the enemies have, up to a maximum of 300%. Guys, trust me, we get that. We increase that by at least 60% every single time. So that's a minimum of 60% as an increased damage. So it's great. Also, my cat is being very sweet right now, and he's being very needy, so he's kind of blocking my screen a little bit. So like you can see his tail flopping right here. Buddy, it's okay. It's okay. Give me a second. All right, so we're also using Dragon's Appetite. Oh, and he got scared. Okay, bye, buddy. So we're also using Dragon's Appetite on the body at all times. Dragon's Appetite did get nerfed semi-recently, but I think it's still phenomenal. It does exactly what I want to do. It gives you a line of weapon and spell damage, 2 lines of stam recovery, so your recovery is a lot better because of that. Then also increases your damage done to bleeding enemies by 225. So that's a 225 flat. That's not like 225 weapon and spell damage. So say you do 1,000 damage to somebody, now you're going to do 1,225. So that overall damage, that really adds up over time, I'm telling you. Then also, dealing damage with non-bleed damage generates a stack of Dragon's Appetite for 5 seconds, once every half second. After 10 stacks, you're going to consume that Dragon's Appetite, and you're going to heal for 8,200 health. So that's pretty good. That's a lot of extra damage that you get. There's a lot of extra healing that you get. So overall, I think Dragon's Appetite is still great on this kind of build. We're also using One Piece Trainee. We've got medium, well-fitted hands. The reason why we have this is we have 2 extra slots on this build. So if we're using Trainee, and then we're also using One Piece Druid's Belt, which is also going to increase our overall max health, medium impen, that's going to increase our overall health significantly. So I really like that. Also, Dragon's Appetite Reinforced Legs, Dragon's Appetite Medium Impen Feet. We're also using Monomyth as our Mythic. We're going to be using it Protective with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. If you don't have Monomyth, there are a few alternatives that you could use. I would say either Death Dealer's Fate, or I would say something along the lines of Satan the Seducer. I wouldn't recommend anything else personally. I think that Markin wouldn't be that great on this because you only have 1 5-piece set on here, so you wouldn't get that bonus from Markin that you normally get from most builds. So Markin, I wouldn't put it on this build. I'll put, if you don't have this, Monomyth, Satan the Seducer. Or Death Dealer's Fate, Satan the Seducer. But Monomyth, if you do have it, I recommend using that because that's going to be giving you a line of Major Force and Minor Berserk, which, guys, do not sleep on Minor Force. That is huge. Also on your back bar, you're going to get Major Protection and Minor Vitality. So it's going to overall increase your overall tankiness, and it's also going to increase your overall healing as well. So it's really nice. We're also using dual jewelry of Dragon's Appetite. Our ring is going to be protective with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. Our necklace is going to be protective with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. And then I'm using Master's Perfected Axes. That way we increase our overall crit damage. I don't know, I just like axes personally. I think that they're kind of dope. We're using Main Hand Nurnone with a poison damage enchantment on it. Offhand will be sharpened with a disease enchantment on it. You make sure you want to use poison and disease. That's the best way to increase your overall status effect procs, and then that will increase your overall Marsalok damage. So make sure you're using those kind of those enchantments. So what Master's Dual does is Twin Slashes is going to deal 981 more damage for each of the initial attack and the bleed. So that's going to increase your overall damage significantly. It's really good. plus that damage gets increased when we're buffed up as well, so that's good. Then back bar is going to be Vatishron's Perfected Ice Staff, defending with increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. It's still good. It hasn't really changed much since it started, and it's still really good. I've got the Perfected one, which the Perfected gives you a line of offensive pen, which is good. It's not too necessary because you're not really sitting on your back bar that often. And then the actual two-piece is casting weakness to elements is going to put really a tether between you and your enemies. And then every second, it's going to do either flame, frost, or shock damage. And then at each second that it's touching the enemy and does damage, the damage gets increased by 1%. So if that's on for the full 10 seconds, guys, that's solid. Like, that's really good damage. So like over time, if that's just on there, that's just free damage. That's awesome. So let's move on to our skills. So we're going to be using Rending Slashes. That's going to be what's buffing our Master's Dual Wield. It's also going to be what's proccing our Dragon's Appetite, because overall you want your enemies to be bleeding. So that's good. So you want to make sure you open most fights with this, because that's going to start to proc most of your abilities from there. So it's going to be our nice little bleed on here. It doesn't do too much damage, but honestly, it kind of stacks up over time. And then on top of that, the enemies are going to be hit with the Hemorrhaging status effect. So if we're looking at this, we've already got 3 different status effects on them, right? We've got the Hemorrhaging, and then for Master's Dual Wield, we have Poison and Disease. So that's 3 already. So that damage from Martial Lock has already increased by 30%. Awesome. Then from there, we've got Crit Surge. That's going to be our source of major brutality and sorcery, increasing our overall weapon and spell damage by 20%. Also, while active, dealing critical damage is going to heal you for 3,300 health. Awesome, great source of sustain, great source of major brutality and sorcery. We love that ability. Also, I have it on the front bar because in the passives, the more sorcerer abilities you have slide on your front bar, the more damage you get. So that's why I have it on the front bar. Also, I'm using Crystal Weapon because personally, I love Crystal Weapon. If you line this up with something like your Rending, that is so much burst potential, because what it's going to do is you're activate, and then on your next light or heavy attack, you're going to be dealing 7,000 physical damage and also reducing the enemy's armor by 1,000. So that's good because that's not even buffed up, so that gets even higher. So imagine comboing that. You're hitting a light attack, which light attack damage, you're going to be proccing Crystal Weapon. You're proccing one of your enchantments most likely, and also you're going to be hitting Rending Slashes right afterwards. That's 4 different sources of damage, basically right away on an enemy. Perfect. Then we have Streak, which is going to be kind of your CC, your mobility tool. You're going to use this to get in and out of situations. It's an amazing ability that I love because it cannot be blocked, and that's amazing for your overall burst potential. And then we have Bound Armaments, which I'm in love with. I absolutely love Bound Armaments. I think it's a phenomenal skill, and I think it's so slept on right now. It's going to be your source of major savage and prophecy, increasing your overall critical rating. Also, on top of that, your light and heavy attacks are now going to be generating a stack of Bound Armaments for 10 seconds, up to 8 times. Fully charged heavy attacks are going to be getting 2 stacks, so it's good. With that being said, when you're at 1 or more stacks, you can arm up to 4 of them and strike your targets for 2,913 physical damage every 0.3 seconds. And then also, just think about that. Each damage is increased by 225. And on top of that, it's going to be every 0.3 seconds. So that's going to proc your Dragon's Appetite. If it hits all of them, that's going to be proccing your Dragon's Appetite twice. So that's going to be 2 steps closer to getting you a full heal. It's a great source of damage, and it's just a lot of burst potential. Also, we've got Thriving Chaos, which is going to be our Dual Wield ult, which I'm in love with on this build because A, it's doing more bleed damage. You love to see that. And also, you're going to be healing for 51% of the damage done over the duration. Great. Also, each enemy hit increases your damage done overall by 6% for 15 seconds. So that also it can stack up to 6 times. So if you hit 6 people, your damage is going to be increased by 636. So your overall damage is going to be increased by 36%. That's insane. You are just chunking people for the next 15 seconds. I love it. Also, every tick is going to apply the Hemorrhaging status effect, which we love our status effects out here. Back bar, we're going to be using Dark Deal. This is going to be kind of a resource management kind of deal. You're going to be sacrificing magic and you're going to be getting health and stam in return. And then also you're going to get Minor Berserk, which you also get from Monomyth, so I don't really care about that too much. And then we've got Hurricane, which is going to be our source of Major Resolve and Minor Expedition, increasing our overall physical and spell resistance by 6,000. Also, it's going to increase our movement speed by 15%. Also, it's going to put an AoE around you, which is really nice because it doesn't do the most amount of damage, but it does do damage, which is cool because it's not bleed damage. And also that applies Dragon's Appetite. Cool, awesome. Also, if you think about it, it's not the most amount of damage, but every tick of that damage is going to be increased by the Dragon's Appetite 225. So it does add up. I'm telling you, if you're just brawling, if you're staying on top of your enemies, I'm telling you, you're hounding away at their health. It's amazing. Also, we've got Resolving Vigor, which is a nice 5-second heal over time. Also, it's going to get you minor resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 3,000. We have a Healing Soul on this build, which is kind of like your just in case kind of heal. It goes to so many people so often, and it kind of annoys me, but it's fine. It's a burst heal. It also gives you some health back over 10 seconds. Also, it's going to give you Major Vitality for 10 seconds, increasing your healing received by 12%. So you definitely want to make sure you're using these every once in a while. Make sure that your healing is so phenomenal, because you get Major Vitality from that, and you also get Minor Vitality from that. So when you're on your back bar healing, you're healing like crazy. And then finally, we've got Ellie's Susceptibility, which is going to be your source of major breach on your enemies, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 6,000. Also, every 7.5 seconds, the enemy is going to be afflicted with the Burning, Chilled, and Concussion status effects, which, guys, if we're talking about status effects, we were on 3 different ones before with the Masters to Wield, Hemorrhaging, and then now we just got 3 more from Ellie Sus. 60%. Easy. Increases that damage by 60%. You love to see it. So also on top of that, we're also using Swarming Scion on our back bar. I don't really use this too often. This is kind of that just in case, like break glass in case of emergency kind of situation. It'll just increase your overall health by 10,000, and then you're also super tanky. You're at full health, and then you're able to just kind of wait it out. But that being said, you're doing an insane amount of damage because you're going to be healing for 50% of all the damage that you deal as well. So if you just start going offensive right there, you're just able to heal right back up to full health. So that's awesome. Also, bats are going to be swarming around you, dealing 2,796 magic damage every 1 second. Again, increased by Dragon's Appetite. That being said, let's move on to our champion points. Let's call it a video, and let's go and move on to the footage for the build, because I know you guys want to see that. So we're going to be using, for our blue tree, we're going to be using Ironclad, Resilience, Fighting Finesse, and Untamed Aggression. Our red tree is going to be Pain's Refuge, Survival Instincts, Sustained by Suffering, and Fortified. And then our green tree, what we really care about is Breakfall. That's the most important one. Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, and I mean, if you want Discipline Artisan, but this is just a pure stamsorc build, so I wouldn't really worry about it too much. So guys, that is the overall entire build. I hope that you enjoy. I know this is kind of nothing really new, because this is something that's, I don't know, this is something that was pretty meta like a few years back, and it was really solid then, and I kind of want to just bring back a pure stamsorc build. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.
I feel pressure and it festers. There's this yearning that I don't say. Sick of guessing, I have questions. Oh well, all I can do is pray. Oh, I've been roaming, taking chances all along. Where am I going when it's always going wrong? Wish someone could tell me how things will end before I let somebody in. A crystal ball so I can see. Why does everybody leave? Are you out there going through casualties? Just like me, all to prepare for the day that we both shall meet. I always wonder who's true love somewhere waiting and waiting for me. Are you out there, my one and only?